What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 5th Doctor Peter Davison story, Kinder. This is the first story in the Mara Tales box set, and yeah, I have actually seen this one before about a year and a half ago, well, probably just over a year ago, but I got the DVD now, the Region 2 DVD, when I had the Region 4 before, so it was time for me to watch it again and review it. So anyway, this is Kinder by Christopher Bailey. The Doctor arrives on the paradise planet of Deva Loka to find a colonial mission on the verge of collapse. Several of its members have vanished into the jungle without a trace, leaving the survivors suspicious and paranoid. The mystery deepens as it becomes clear that the planet's native inhabitants, the Kinder, possess hitherto unsuspected powers that challenge human understanding. Meanwhile, the Doctor's companion Tegan becomes possessed by the Mara, a force of pure evil that lives in dreams and preys on fear. A pretty interesting little kind of plot synopsis on the back of the DVD there. You know, the whole concept of this, you know, the Mara being able to, you know, get into you from within dreams, I think it's a really cool concept. And yeah, it just sounds like quite an interesting story. But anyway, let's start off as we usually do with the cast. So Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor, he's pretty good in this one. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Peter Davison is the greatest in a lot of his first stories. You know, I think he really comes, from what I can remember anyway, and from what I've seen, he does quite come into his own in Earthshock, but really doesn't properly come into his own, I don't think, until, you know, really, maybe halfway through season 25, season, what is it, season 20, and season 21, mainly season 21, he's still good here. You know, one thing I don't really like about Peter Davison is, when he talks, he sounds really out of breath. You know, he's always talking, he's like, doing this, oh, we're gonna go here, and he talks really fast, and then he's breathing really heavy all the time, and it just looks really weird, and doesn't sound great either. I don't know, I mean, he's not bad, definitely not bad, but he's definitely better in other stories than he is here. This is only his 3rd story. I'm not sure if it was his 3rd to record, but it is only the 5th Doctor's 3rd story. So, you know, I think Peter Davison does a good job with what he's got here. Matthew Waterhouse as Adric, yeah, he's alright. I mean, I personally haven't got quite the hatred for Matthew Waterhouse yet. Guaranteed though, I haven't actually seen all of his stories. He's not great in this one though. You know, like when he towards the end, when he's in the little robot vehicle thing, and he's, you know, spazzing out and doesn't know what to do. You know, he has to control it with his mind. Yeah, that's not some great acting. There's some really bad acting moments in here. But I mean, he doesn't really do any harm. He's just kind of not great. Apart from Tegan, he's the main companion focused in the story. You know, he's the one with the Doctor, whereas Tegan is kind of off on her own, doing her own thing. We'll get onto Nyssa in a minute. But yeah, I think Matthew Waterhouse, he does an okay job with Adric in this one. So speaking of Nyssa, Sarah Sutton as Nyssa. There isn't really anything I can say about Nyssa in the story. That's not because she did a bad performance or because she didn't do a good performance. It's just that she didn't really do a performance because she isn't really in the story at all. At the start of part 1, she's feeling a bit sick, she's not feeling very well, so the Doctor shoves her away in the TARDIS to sleep for 48 hours or something. At the end of part 4, right at the end of the story, she comes out and she says, I'm all better now, and that's it. They literally had nothing to do with Nyssa in this story. This is, I think, you know, people talk about how series 11, they didn't know what to do with 3 companions, but this is the worst. I mean, you know, at least then, all 3 companions were usually walking around doing something. Here, Nyssa literally just gets shoved in the TARDIS because they have nothing to do with her, and it's really, really bad and just completely stupid. And then Janet Fielding as Tegan. I think Tegan really is the star of the show with the companions here. I'm not the biggest fan of Tegan as a character, but I do think she plays this whole thing where she's being, you know, controlled, possessed by the Mara. She plays it very well, and all in all, I actually quite enjoy her in this story. Alright, so let's get on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The hallucinations Tegan has are weird and creepy. I do think those hallucinations are very strange. They go on for a bit too long in my mind. We have pretty much a whole episode just with her now and again coming into this hallucination thing, and it does go on for a bit too long, but I do think it's really creepy. Just that guy with the like the kind of circus looking guy. He's really creepy, just really weird. The two people that she first meets that are like eating dinner or whatever they're doing, at the table, those older people, they're pretty creepy and weird. Just the makeup and everything on them just makes them look so creepy. But then the way they talk and the way they act is just so strange. But yeah, I think that whole sequence is very good, although maybe a little bit too long. The Kinder people can only communicate telepathically. I think that's really cool, how they can, the only way for them to communicate is to communicate telepathically. Now, from what I understand, I'm pretty sure they said that the males, they can't actually speak, so they have to communicate telepathically, whereas the females, they can do the telepathic stuff, but they can also speak, because, you had the old woman, you had the girl, who I can't remember what her name was, like Code, something beginning with K, I think, something like that young girl. They were the only two girl characters that spoke, which is weird, because there were other female characters in there, but they didn't speak at all, so I'm not sure, could they speak, could they not, because from what I understood, male characters couldn't speak, female characters could, so I wasn't 100% sure with that, but maybe I'm just getting that wrong, but I think, the whole thing, they have the kind of, the DNA thing on their, around their necks, what do they call it, I've totally forgotten what it's called, I'm not very sciencey, but I've totally forgotten what that thing's called, and I just think it's really cool that they can talk telepathically, and yeah, just really, really cool stuff. Tegan being controlled by the Mara is very weird, but well done. Yeah, like I said before, the hallucinations are very good, but then when she actually gets controlled, Tegan's completely different. Janet Fielding puts on an amazing performance. I think she does such a good job. The way that they kind of have the lipstick around their lips when they get controlled by the Mara, makes it look really weird, and just the way that Janet Fielding plays it, her voice sounds completely different, which is just crazy. It's almost like if you weren't actually watching, you were just listening, you'd almost probably not think it was her. It's very good, and the way she acts, it's so creepy. It's really creepy and weird. To be honest, she doesn't do that much. I would have liked it if she did a bit more. She kind of gets possessed for probably like a whole episode, and then it gets passed on to that Elysia guy, or whatever his name, Elizra, one of the Kinder males, and then he can talk. I thought that was a pretty cool thing, how he gets controlled by the Mara, and now he can speak when he couldn't speak before. I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously all the Kinder people, they started worshipping him then because he could speak. I thought that was a really cool thing to add in there. That really did enhance it quite a lot. But yeah, I think Tegan was really the star of the show with the Mara. It just would have been nice if maybe she was in that state for a little bit longer. The old woman calling the Doctor an idiot. I thought that was pretty fun. You had the old wise woman, I think they called her, who I believe was blind because she couldn't see anything. Well, from what I can understand, she couldn't see anything. She never knew. She had to rely on the young girl, to kind of know where people were and what was happening. But she was very, very wise. She also had this telepathic thing, but her senses were very, very heightened, I suppose, compared to a lot of people. I think her name was it like Heather or Helena or something like that? And yeah, I think just, how she kind of, she used her telepathic abilities to kind of see what the future could be like, what it might end up being like if the Mara takes over, what happens to all the Kinder people and that. I thought that was really cool. I really liked the old woman character. And the fact that she kept calling the Doctor an idiot, she didn't really like males. She was more of a, she thought the males were the stupid ones and the females kind of ruled the world, which I think is an interesting take on it, when usually it's kind of the opposite way around. And I love how she just kept calling the Doctor an idiot. I thought that was pretty funny. Sanders, after he opens the box, acting like a happy child. I really love Sanders in this story. If you don't know who that is, that's the old man in the story who's the leader of the colonial base. He's the leader of it. Played by Richard Todd. I think he does a brilliant job, especially, but mainly when he comes back after his little expedition. He opened that box up, and then the Kinder kind of got inside his head and muddled him up a bit, made him a bit weird, kind of go back to a childlike state. I think that's a really cool concept, and he plays it perfectly. He's like such a child. He's like, he plays it so well, and he's like, oh, let's play a game. This is really fun. I like this. And it's just the way he just feels so upbeat and fun. And the way he smiles as well is so creepy, but it's just really good. And then finally, defeating the Mara using its own reflection, I think that was a pretty cool thing. So basically the Mara can't handle seeing itself. So to get the Mara out of Alisra or whatever his name was, the Kinder guy, they surround him in mirrors. The Mara leaves him, and then the Mara grows up to be a full-size Mara, you know, its proper form, and then it basically dies. I thought that was a pretty cool thing, you know, a pretty interesting thing, defeating it with the mirrors. I thought that was quite cool. Alright, there are a couple of bad things I have to say about this episode. First of all, we've already mentioned it, Nyssa just gets shoved away in the TARDIS for the whole story. Such a disappointment. Why we did this? I think at this point they were realising 3 companions is a bit too much. So yeah, her getting just shoved away in the TARDIS is completely ridiculous. Hindle annoys me with his constant shouting. I don't really like Hindle. I can understand what he is as a character. You know, he's the guy that when Sanders goes out on his exposition, he gets promoted to the leader of the base, and when Sanders comes back, because he's kind of been hypnotized or whatever by the Kinder people, he continues to be the leader after that. I just really don't like him. I can understand why he's there, what he's doing, and why he's acting like this, but he annoys the hell out of me. His constant shouting really annoys me. It gets on my nerves so much. The Mara looks pretty bad when it, you know, comes out in its full form. It's basically just a blow-up snake. It looks pretty terrible. It's so obvious it's just an inflatable. But I mean, what are you going to do? It is the 80s. And then, where'd they get all the mirrors from? Now, I'm guessing they got the mirrors from the colonial base, but one, we never really see this happening, and it doesn't tell us that that's what's happened. And also, if they do get them from there, why do they have so many mirrors in the colonial base? This is probably a bit of a nitpick, but I just kind of thought about that when it happened. So yeah, Kinder. It's a decent story. It's actually, I don't know if it's quite as good as I expected. From what I remembered, I thought I liked this one better than Snake Dance, which is the second Mara Tales story in the box set. Obviously I haven't watched that one again yet, so I guess we'll see once I watch that one again, but I actually thought I liked this one a bit more than I actually did, so I'm going to give Kinder a 7 out of 10. It's kind of just average for me. There's some very good stuff in here that I do like. There's also a few bad things that really do weigh it down, so for me it's just kind of an average story. It's not a good story, but it's not a bad story. It just kind of sits in the middle with a 7 out of 10. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please go check out my Twitter in the description below for any updates and stuff like that on my channel. And like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.